I'm going to pivot to the one of the last pieces there. I have been contemplating, even talking about for weeks and months now on the show here and in other places about how I send out my weekly email newsletter. If you've been watching for any length of time or listening to me for any length of time, you know that I have been personally sending to my local database and recommending you do the same, a weekly email every Friday morning like clockwork. And I am making two changes to that. Number one is, starting next week, that email will be sent not through KV Core. Okay, so I've been sending that email through KV Core every Friday morning. I am moving that particular marketing activity off of KV Core for several reasons. Number one, KV Core is great for many, many reasons. It also is an all-in-one solution, quote unquote. And with many all-in-one solutions, they do a lot of things really well, but there are certain things or a lot of those things, maybe they're not the best at, okay? And I now have a database where when we send that email out on Friday mornings, it goes to 8,500 to 9,000 email subscribers. KV Core is not necessarily designed for that particular function. It allows for it, but it's not optimized for it. Okay. So to increase my deliverability, to make sure that more of the people that I'm sending this to actually see my email, and to have some more advanced analytics and tracking, etc., I am now going to start sending that through MailChimp. Okay. Now there are any number of great email specific services that you could use and that I even contemplated using. So GetResponse is awesome. Constant Contact is awesome. MailChimp is great.
I really like ConvertKit. The deliverability is great.
When I was doing research on that actually showed up on the list of like the top 10 for deliverability purposes.
Yeah, we use that for Thanks.io very happily.
There's any number of right answers when it comes to this, okay? But I landed on MailChimp, for whatever reason, right? And it doesn't really matter. Like any of those can be a right answer for you, okay? And this is once again not a knock on KV Core. Okay, I'm going to continue to use KV Core for search alerts, for market updates, for my initial smart campaign, etc. It's just that my database is now so large, and there's so much opportunity that I could be capturing more of from that it just makes sense to offload that specific activity to something that's more dedicated to optimizing that.
Are you going to be
change number one?
Are you going to be pushing all your new leads into the mail? Yeah, I mean, you're going to do initial import into MailChimp, and then you're going to push all your new leads into there automatically. Assume.
Great question. So I am still in the process of importing the existing. I'm doing it as a slow build because it's a big list. So as I'm doing it, I'm cleaning it, I'm tagging it, etc. And I'm going to warm up that new platform, which, by the way, I meant to say this at the beginning, but I'll weave it in now. On Wednesday's workshop, this past Wednesday's workshop, I shared the inspiration for why I'm changing and a bunch of more of some nitty gritty details, etc. And for anyone interested in that, just use the chat widget bottom right at wakeup.realestate, and Mike can get you the replay of that session. Okay. So it gets into the weeds a little bit more, but I just wanted to, get some folks thinking here and share what I'm doing. So number one is where I'm going to send that email from, right? The service that I'm using. The second change I'm making with it is I'm going to have, so what I've been sending every Friday is a list of weekend events. Okay. And with that, we always have built-in calls to action as well. You can go here to get an updated home valuation. You can go here to check out, homes available in 55 plus communities. And we kind of mix those up in there. But I'm going to change where it's not going to be events every single week. So once a month, it will be a video of me highlighting events that might be of interest for the month. And then the other topics, my plan is, and this will evolve, right, as I execute, but the first week of the month is going to be, around events for the month. Here's some fun things to do this month here in Central PA. And it's going to be a video of me, which, by the way, so side note, the other big change I'm making is every one of those weekly emails is going to have video of me. Yeah, the two things I was going through a training, which again, the resources and everything that I talked about in depth from Wednesday, you can get all of that. Just go to wakeup.real estate, use the chat widget. The thing that I felt just like I was being punched in the face of, just like, you're such an idiot, is number one, you've got this big database, but if you're not getting it delivered to people, it's as though you don't exist. And number two, you're very comfortable on video and you're not putting that in your weekly newsletters. And I have heard time and again from clients that were cold leads. In other words, clients that I took from cold to client, not referrals, not sphere of influence, etc. I've heard over and over and over again from them that my videos were one of the main reasons why they chose to work with me. So why wouldn't I do more of that? Okay. So anyway, week one of my every month is going to be fun things that are, fun events for the month in Central PA. Week 2 is going to be a market snapshot, market update, etc. And the reason why I'm doing that week 2 versus week 1 is my local association, generally speaking, somewhere around the 8th to the 10th, they release the updated numbers from the month prior, and they have some good like graphics and so forth. So it'll make it easier for me to do the videos. So I'm just kind of playing off of that. Week 3, it will be sort of local business focused. So maybe, and I'm actually doing this afternoon. I'm the president of the Diamond Club at our high school, the baseball boosters. And last week we did a dine out night where there's a new local pizza place where they donated 20% of all their sales. So I have to go pick up that check. Well, I'm going to make a video featuring that local business. So that would be an example of how I might do it. Or it might be a compilation, like, my top 3 favorite local whatever, right? And, I would love to hear which one you like most, or, what would you add to the list, kind of thing. And then week 4 is something highlighting my industry expertise, right? So, and the easiest thing is, what happened over the last couple weeks with a client that you can turn into something share. Hey, I was out on a home inspection with a client earlier this week, and this came up. I thought I would share, or it not like locally focused content, but like industry expertise, things that, here are 4 programs available right now that would allow you to potentially buy a home with 0 down payment, right? Yeah. So highlighting things of that nature.
You can take a clause.
What's that?
Take a clause out of the agreement of sale and go deep on it, something like that. Yeah.
Totally. And then if there's a 5th week in the month, right, which a couple of times a year that'll happen, it'll probably be, it might be just having some fun, or maybe I feature a property, or whatever the case may be. So I will, as I am building these out and creating these, I will share all of that for you. We have a document that had my, the process I had been following and the events and so forth. And that, I think, is still a great place to start. And quite honestly, the reason why I created that framework is because it's it's theoretically lower friction for everyone to implement. You don't have to make video content or whatever. You can go and get the events and whatever. And so that works great for a big swath of people, but it's efficient, but it's not necessarily the most effective way to build relationship and rapport and get yourself, come list me clients or come help me buy a home type of clients. I think video in there and letting people get to know and like and trust you is better. So I'm going back to my roots when it comes to that, and I'll be an open book as I implement those changes. And so I started warming up my MailChimp account by sending out an email yesterday to slightly over 100 of my contacts. So I'm just kind of slowly warming them up. And I'm really, really excited because it's almost 50% open rate.
Nice.
Now, that's a very small batch. It's a very small batch. But I know for sure it's nowhere near that open rate currently sending a broadcast email through KV Core.
Yeah.
For sure.
Do you are you following any kind of protocol for the warm up? Like, is there anybody you reference, any experts on that, or do you just have your own way of doing it?
Here's what I'm doing. Number one, using Never Bounce. Some of this is the nitty gritty stuff that is in Wednesday's workshop as well. But I'm using Never Bounce, and there are others to clean the list, right? So I'm exporting I'm exporting segments of the list from KV Core, cleaning them, and then putting them in. That's number one. Number two, I sent out a broadcast email of 100. All went well. I'm not sending anything today because I still did send my weekly email newsletter through KV Core. This is the last one going through KV Core. So I'm not sending anybody anything through MailChimp today. Tomorrow, I'm sending to about 1,900. And I'm sending the exact same email. Well, with I tweaked the headline, the subject line slightly, but that I sent yesterday because I already know that it got delivered, it got opened. It actually, even though it got opened great, the click rate wasn't great. So I tweaked something related to that. I think I have an idea of what was affecting that. So Saturday I have scheduled for about 1,900 to go out, and then Sunday another 4,000. So I don't know. Do you have thoughts on warming it up or experience with, best practices?
Just slow and steady, and you build more and more. The interesting thing about MailChimp is it's not your own server, so you're not as concerned with that. You're more concerned with MailChimp getting mad at you, probably, right?
Yeah.
Do you have like this? I think you might have messaged. Do you have like a sending address and all that set up with MailChimp, or is it just sending through there?
I think it's just sending through there, and I'm using right now. So these are some of the things that I need to sort through and figure out as I implement. I'm using just my eXp Realty email for now. I don't know that that's the best long term, but just to at least start warming up the account and getting the contacts in there. That's kind of where I started with it.
And you can overthink this stuff too, guys. Like there's diminishing returns in a 20% open rate versus an 18% open rate. It's not worth the streets.
Right. Yeah. And MailChimp has some cool things. Like I didn't even see this in the one that I sent yesterday, that as you set up to send an email, one of the recommendations you'll get in there, like, they have like what's the sending address and what's this, and what audience you're sending to, whatever. But one of the suggestions is to improve deliverability, instead of the recipient seeing that this is going to be a terrible description. Here, let me just show you what I'm talking about. So instead of it being, if I was emailing Ryan, it says email to propknox@gmail.com. It'll say email to Ryan Hartman. And how can let me see if I can find a way to show this. So it's definitely optimized here for deliverability, and it's got that's an example of something that KV Core doesn't have, because it's an all-in-one solution, right? So when a company specializes in this, email marketing in this case, they can have some of these little nuanced features that it just doesn't make sense for a KV Core or a Chime, I think now called Lofty, or a Boomtown, or whoever it is, right? So the edit from where was it? So I'm just doing the edit from is jschoenly. Save.
Yeah.
No, there was something here. Add subject. Yeah. Well,
one of the features I like in a lot of these platforms, they call them time travel or something, where you can have the email go out at the same time that they came onto your list. I saw that.
That's great. So the send time, the way I did it, for now that I started doing the bigger batches, is I have them sending it out in batches. You can say, I want to send out batches every 5 minutes for 20 batches or something like that. So it'll take them and chunk them. So it's sending it out over time versus just trying to send all 9,000 emails at a time that you schedule, right? And that helps deliverability. One of the reasons why, if you're familiar with HomeBot is a service that is known to have really good deliverability, right? And their emails get open and so forth. And it's because they send over time. They don't just blast all at once, right? So there's something to that. And again, another example of like those sort of features, if you specialize in email marketing, for in this case, like MailChimp does, they can make those things easy in better than an all-in-one solution might. So the other thing I wanted to do a quick update on before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's workshop is my weekly email newsletter, Saga. So last week I talked about how I am updating the process by which I'm sending my newsletter. Updating two things. Number one, how I'm sending the newsletter. In other words, I'm not broadcasting it out through KV Core anymore. And number two, a tweak to the content of it. Well, it took MailChimp all of 72 hours, maybe a little bit longer, to shut me down. So I've already gone on to Plan B. Before I share what Plan B is, and I'll show you the email that is scheduled to go out tomorrow morning. Hopefully, I won't be shut off by this one by tomorrow afternoon. Who knows? Time will tell. But the reason, so I'm an idiot, is what it comes down to, because the very first email that I sent using MailChimp was about how to buy a home with 0 down payment. If that's not spammy, I don't know what is. And it's easy for me to realize that in hindsight. In the moment, I was like, this is great content. It's great long form content. It generated, like, I don't know, we have just from, it was a YouTube link to a workshop, a Zoom workshop that I'd done on how to buy a home with 0 down payment. We talked about USDA and VA and FHA with DPA and all that good stuff. And it was great. We have multiple clients in the pipeline, pre-approvals, etc., from that content. But it's spammy in nature. I mean, it just is. And MailChimp didn't like it. So thanks to Carlton Sheets, the 0 down guy from the 80s, that's probably one of the reasons why it's quote unquote spammy. So anyway, they shut me down. I got Plan C, D, and E. But Plan B for now is Get Response. So I've got, I signed up for an account. You can do a free trial with Get Response up to 500 contacts. I've got an account. Just some things I'll share already that I've learned with them. Number one, I took what I thought was a clean list. I uploaded it and they rejected it. So I had to go back to my never bounce. And some of this is nitty gritty from last week. And if you want to get into the nitty gritty, Mike can get you the replay last week. But I went back to my never bounce clean list, and I had to choose only the valids. Okay. So there's valids, there's deliverable, and there's catch-all, and then there's invalid and invalid and something else that you should not. Anyway, when I just did the valids, which I lost 700 or 800 emails, but when I just did that, it took my import and I'm good to go. We can help with this stuff too if you get bogged down in the weeds with any of it. Where is I want to show you what's going out tomorrow. So this is my first of version 2.0. It's actually 3.0 technically of my weekly email newsletter. How do I just look at the email? There it is. So it's a market snapshot. This is a short video. It's 50 seconds long. I used graphics from my local association, and I briefly talked about the 3 primary counties that I service, which are the 3 primary counties that our association, that's what they report on. So it's that. It's a 30-second video about a new local pizza spot. And then it's, thinking about buying, search all homes, home to sell, home values and cash offers. Some of this stuff will tweak and evolve over time. There's my social links, etc. So I'll have more data and feedback next week. And long-term, I don't know if it'll be the long-term solution. My other plan B option was ConvertKit, which Ryan has used and likes, and that has good deliverability and so forth. Constant Contact is there's lots of great options. But the reason why, this will be the last unless there's any questions on it. The big reason why I moved away from sending through KV Core is just because it can do it doesn't mean it's the best option to do it. And I just found that, trying to send a broadcast email to 9,000 people through KV Core, it's just not what it's really intended to do. It can do it, but it's not the best way to do that. So for me, it made sense to get that data elsewhere. And we'll see. I'm sending out the very first one is going to 5,500, but I know they're valid emails. They've been subscribed. Like I'm hoping that there's no issues. And then I've got more to add to it, which I will do the same scrubbing process and sort of get them in there as we go.
So you write it's more or less a template that you fill out every week, right?
So Andrew, I had been sending one for well over a year. That was, we were calling it the weekend bucket list, and it was just curated list of events. And quite honestly, Mike would make those. And so it was pretty formulaic. I've pivoted slightly in the sense that we're not simply sending the weekend bucket list. That's going to be, and we talked about this, I think, in the mastermind. And Andrew, you may not have been at that one, but also on the show. But the local events will be it'll be in the rotation. Once a month, I'm going to talk about the events, but it's not going to be every day. And so this week's was the market snapshot. I just did a short little video about, and I used the data from my local association. They have some nice little, they slice up the data in nice, easily digestible figures. And just did a recording on that. So I'm not using any AI or Ghostwriter or anything. And it's not there's not a lot of text because one of the big reasons why I pivoted is I wasn't using video in my weekly email news. Even though I like video, I'm pretty good at video, and I have evidence that video has helped me convert, quote unquote, a lot of cold prospects into clients, which Andrew, you're very much in the same boat. I mean, you're wonderful on video and should absolutely be leveraging video as much as humanly possible.
Have you thought about just doing one video a week on your YouTube channel that basically runs through all the items that are in your normal newsletter template, even if you're sharing a screen?
So I've been thinking, I haven't thought specifically on that, but that is definitely something to consider. The thing that I've really been thinking about is just looking at my real estate business as a publishing business or a content business, where it just so happens that, you know, I sell real estate, which is not a new idea or thought. Like, it's something that has been talked about and that I've thought about for years, but like really owning that idea in my local market. And
you've done that more than others. When I met you, you were actually, I don't know if you had just gotten licensed, but you were actually not just selling real estate, you were selling investment property, like courses and stuff like that. So when you do, my point is that when you do this sort of publishing thing, like you see Josh and I doing right now, it kind of opens the door to sell other things. And it makes me think of Ryan Fletcher.
Yeah.
Right. His whole thing is kind of like the whole business is you, so to speak. Check out his stuff, guys. He's got a couple of great books and everything. But the business is you. You happen to sell real estate, but you have other income streams that stem off of this. But it all starts with the regular content.
Exactly. And the audience, right? And building a relationship with the audience, so that when you make recommendations or when you know, jab, right hook, that you've already got rapport and relationship with folks.
Turns out Gary Vee was very right when he wrote that book.
Well, and Hormozi takes it a step farther. He says just give until people ask you for your help, right? Like, give so much that people feel you know, like this sense that they need it. Like, how can I help you? You know, what can I do to help?
It's like, what can I buy from you after a while? Because I've experienced that, because I don't really sell very hard in general. It's like either laziness or shyness or whatever. But eventually people are just like, what can I buy?
Well, why are you doing all this nice stuff? Well, you know.